All right. Thank you for taking your time to look at, does a day begin at sunset or does a day begin at the break of dawn? And we want to understand each other's view correctly before we start arguing scriptures. And I think there's some misunderstanding, so let's just look at it to understand where we're each coming from and understand each other's view so we can reasonably discuss the scriptures. Let's get a good baseline first. Now, thing to think about, event A happens, event B happens, event C happens, event D happens, and event E happens. We can see event A happens during the daytime, event B happens at nighttime, and event C happens at day, and event D happens at night, and event E happens during the day. This is a historical perspective, meaning we cannot change the order of events in history. It's past, it can't be changed. With that in mind, we can change our labels or understanding of how we see scriptures and see which makes more sense. So, with a traditional view, most churches teach on the top a day begins at sunset. So, it'd be a 24-hour period, and this would be day one. Now, the interesting thing here is that after sunset, it's still kind of light and turning dark and then gets dark for the night. So, this is day one. This is a minor detail often overlooked and needs to be talked about when we look at scriptures, and eventually we will. Now, from sunset to sunset, 24-hour period roughly, would be day two. Then from sunset to sunset would be day three. This is a traditional teaching. Now on the bottom chart, the day begins on the break of dawn, a little before sunrise, and then goes to the next morning, a little before sunrise at twilight, a 24-hour period, day one. Then repeats, day two, from morning to morning. And then I show part of day three, just not enough room on the slide. Now keep in mind, event A happens at the same time. It's a daytime, event B happens here, event C happens, event D, event E. You get it. However, the way we label things is see different. On the top chart, day one encapsulates a night and a day, and then on the bottom chart, beginning at the break of dawn, we would call this part day one. So they have different labels. We would call this the first day of the week on the bottom, and they would call this the first day of the week on the top differently because it includes different event A's and event B's. One says event B happens on day one. The other view says event B happens on day two. And so when we start to apply scriptures, we're going to see which makes more sense with scripture in mind. I hope this helps build a good foundation of where we need to understand the scriptures.